Well, given things happening in the Middle East and also in Europe recently, tragic attacks in Paris, we really need to rethink and reconsider things we know about this so-called self-claimed Islamic State, Daesh, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. I think, in short, in my view, Daesh or ISIS has three major factors to contributed to the rise of ISIS. The first one, which basically opened up the Pandora box of this phenomenon, was the American-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, destroying the state, creating vacuum, and post-invasion policies, which brought Al-Qaeda and other extremists in Iraq. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq. So all these policies very much contributed to the rise of ISIS. Of course, we know that Abu Ghraib and so many war crimes committed in Iraq. So that's definitely number one factor. The second factor was, and still is, this proxy war in Syria. Regional power and global power somehow actually are involved in this war. They unfortunately fund, train some of these extremists. Real politics, geopolitics actually is the number one priority of so many states here. And we know that on the one hand, Bashar al-Assad committed so many war crimes. He suppressed its own civil demonstration of his own people. But at the same time, we know that unfortunately, the people of Syria are caught between a rock and a hard place of Assad regime, and on the other hand, extremists funded, trained by so many regional and global power, and some of them are actually Western democracies and allies of Western democracy. The third pillar, which very much contributed to the rise of ISIS, obviously is an extremist Salafi ideology of Wahhabism, Takfiri, which somehow you can see it's been practiced in Saudi Arabia and, of course, other parts of the, world in that part. So in a way, this ideology very much contributed to this. And on top of these things, these three factors, when it comes to the homegrown terrorism, so-called, and particularly the case of France, we know that there are second and third generation French people who were excluded from being a true citizens of these countries. So all they have is basically one citizenship card, but they are very much excluded from their social rights, political rights, and it's the second or third generations, and it's not actually, it's very, very important. If you go to the outside of Paris, you can actually see these semi-shanty towns, and these people are not really included in the political process. So we really need to talk about political economy, culture, and at the same time geopolitics of these things. So these are very, very complex things to understand. And if this is the case, we really need to rethink about our strategy in case of Syria. That's number one. The second point, which is really, really important, is the issue of refugees. We know that these guys who actually committed these crimes, as I said, are second and third generations live in France. So it's not really the issue of refugees. What we need to stop is our policies towards Syria, not basically letting immigrants come to the Western societies. And we really need to separate out these two things, especially in our country, Canada, which relatively we had, successful policy of multiculturalism compared to Europe. So more inclusion, deepening multiculturalism is the solution. And one more thing I would like to add is that ISIS, Daesh, actually would like to create a false dichotomy between the West and the Muslim world. So more right-wing policies, more exclusionary policies, more racist policies towards minorities, Muslims and non-Muslims, more policies which contribute to the so-called the clash of civilizations, which is wrong. There is no such thing as the clash of civilizations, would be the best opportunity for more and more recruitment of ISIS, Daesh. So this is not something really we wanted. So in short, fixing the foreign policy and also deepening multiculturalism, I guess letting immigrants come to Canada, of course, and other Western countries are perhaps some part of the solution.